This is Thank You Mama, weekly lessons from mothers all around the world. Dear listeners, before we jump into this week's very fun episode, I would like to share with you that on Friday, I will be speaking at Podfest Global, which is the world's largest podcasting conference that goes on for 2 weeks. They are expecting over 10,000 attendees and have hundreds of podcasting experts from all over the world. Now, I know that many of you guys are scattered all over the world, but the cool thing is if you're registered, you can always watch the recordings of all sessions in your own time. And here's the trick, I can get you in for free. So if you would like to join, please shoot me an email to info@thankyouMama.net, and I would be very excited to meet you there. Hi and welcome to Thank You Mama. My name is Anna Tyler. My guest today is Brianne Davis. Brianne is a Hollywood TV and movie actress and director. She appeared in movies such as Jarhead, Prom Night, American Virgin, and TV shows such as Desperate Housewives, Nip Tuck, True Blood, Entourage. And Brianne just launched her podcast, which is called Secret Life. I'm very excited to talk about it. Hi and welcome.
Hi, thanks for having me. I'm so excited to be on with you.
Brianne, let's talk about your podcast and your upcoming book.
Yes. Okay. Well, yeah, my podcast is called Secret Life. It is, I let go of this big secret. When I got 10 years of recovery and sex and love addiction, I wrote this HuffPost article and I got millions and millions of hits, and people hit me up saying, thank you so much. I've gone through that. My girlfriend's gone through that. My husband's gone through that. And I just had this feeling when the pandemic hit that I needed to be of service bigger than my LA community of Sex and Love Addicts Anonymous. And I had this idea at 3 a.m. It popped in my head, Secret Life, a podcast where anybody can share their secret and we talk about it and we let go of the shame and judgment. And I've had all walks of life on. I've released 31 episodes. We've had, a suicide attempt, shooting herself with a shotgun in her chest, to, using abortion as birth control, to other addictions. Yeah.
A plastic toy addiction, I saw.
A plastic toy addiction. Yeah. Collector. He's like a shopaholic and can't stop collecting toys when he has nowhere to put them. Mm-hmm. And it's been so beautiful connection and to give people a voice. And so far we have 90 something episodes left to release. So I'm just really grateful for our listeners. And it's just given me so much to be of service to other people.
Tell me about the book.
Oh, yes. I'm so excited about the book. It's based on my life. It's a Roma Clef fiction. It's called Secret Life of a Hollywood Sex and Love Addict. There's the main character's name is Roxanne, but she's based on me, and some stories are true and some are fiction. So you'll have to guess for yourself which one. But it tells the story of this young woman about to turn 30, going on her first year of recovery and sex and love addiction, and all the ups and downs and trials and tribulations and all the things you have to go through to get on the other side of this very deadly addiction. More people die of sex and love addiction than any other addiction.
Are you serious? How do they die from it?
Well, people commit suicide over love. People murder people for love. I mean, if you watch Dateline or any of those shows, everybody murders somebody because they're cheating. They're in love with them. There's a love triangle. And I love to tell this story that I speak at a lot of jails and prisons in LA. I hold sex and love addict meetings with my program. And every single woman in the jail was there for sex and love addiction. She either sold drugs for her man, murdered somebody for her man, or her partner, whoever. So it's very serious. This, and especially right now with a pandemic, it's, people are lonely, people are depressed. And I just wanted to give an opportunity for someone that's not a sex and love addict to understand the addiction in an entertaining way. So a normie, one that's not an addict is what we call them, can easily understand and be entertained with the Hollywood stories.
But I'm curious about the love part, because sex addiction we've read about and we know about, and you can imagine what that is. What is love addiction?
Okay, so the easiest way for me to explain it is sex addiction, it could be sleeping around a lot. It could be not sleeping with anybody. It could be addicted to porn. It could be addicted to masturbation.
Yeah.
But love addiction is where you get high from intrigue, from flirting, from, having multiple relationships or picking unavailable people. Like if a woman keeps picking unavailable men, there's a pattern there that needs to be broken. She obviously doesn't have the self-worth. So when you say sex and love addiction, usually people have a combination of both. And what stems underneath is this fear of abandonment, this fear of not being loved, this fear of intimacy. And for me, it was really like fear of intimacy and all of that. Like if I loved you, it was really hard for me to have both feet in because I was afraid you were going to abandon me. So I would abandon you first. Does that help you understand
yes,
it?
It does, because I think I had a mild version of that for quite a while.
Oh, I love it. That I'm so glad you said that, because honestly, every single person I talk to has this in some degree.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's very universal and nobody talks about it. Nobody talks about what a real relationship is supposed to look like, what a long-term healthy relationship looks like. Everybody has these fantasies. We go into fantasy. We have this image of like a movie of what a relationship looks like. And that's not real life. Real life is you have to take out the trash. You have to pay the bills. You have to have hard conversations. You have to be intimate with someone that you've seen them at their worst. And I was not interested in that. Well, here's the thing. I was interested in falling in love. I was in love with falling in love. Exactly.
Yeah, the butterflies in the belly. And the moment that disappears, it's like,
exactly.
No, this is not
That's
interesting.
the best
Bye-bye.
way to put it. You just helped me put like the moment that high went away, I was not interested anymore.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah, I know. For me, it was funny. It was 8 weeks for me.
Oh, wow.
Like, I realized that after 8 weeks, I would be like, this is not worth my time.
Well, I'm so glad you said that. I love it. Thank you for saying that.
Well, I wrote a whole book called From Barbie to Vibrator.
Oh, nice.
About young women and their single women and their stories and experiences. But anyway, let's go back to you. I want to hear about, you are happily married now and you're a mother of a beautiful son.
I am. And here's the beautiful thing. I'm with the same man I was 11 years ago when I started the program. So it's not like I got healthy and then found the perfect partner. I was already with somebody that I loved and cared about, and I was about ready to blow up my life. And instead, I stuck around. I did the hard work. I went through 9 months of withdrawal, which you'll read about in the book. It's brutal. And, and we have a happy marriage. I'm more connected to my husband now, the work I've done on myself, because it is about finding your self-love. And I just want to say this to anybody listening. My can leave me today. I'll be sad. I'll be crushed. He's my partner for life, but he doesn't fill me. Nobody fills me. And I could not say that 11 years ago. I was always looking outside of myself for my validation, for my self-worth.
Isn't it beautiful to find that?
Oh my God. It's the best thing in the whole world.
It's absolutely the best.
Yeah. I mean, it's literally the best thing in the whole world I've ever done for myself. No one can take it from me. And I love to say this, when I'm on my deathbed, I know that I'm 100% committed to another person, but that I love myself completely.
And then the relationship is better. I really believe that when you don't need the other person to fulfill you, that makes a healthier relationship, when it's not a dependency in a way. I wanted to mention that it fits beautifully to what you just said. I just posted about a lesson that I heard repeated a few times in my interviews until now, which I do wish my parents taught me and my mom taught me, which is that you have to work on love.
Yes.
That love doesn't just fall in your lap and stays there. You really have to cherish it and work on it and protect it. And it sounds like something you are doing.
Yeah. And here's the thing. It's the easiest thing and it's the hardest thing. And that's really hard to explain. The best way I can say it is there's no drama between my husband and I. I usually tell people when they walk into the room, especially in sex and love addiction, if they walk into the 12-step meetings, like, if there's drama in your life, that with a person, that is not normal. And I grew up thinking love had to be passionate and like feisty and fighting and push-pull, and then you're together and it's like, all encompassing. And that is not what love actually is. It's a very like no drama, but you have problems, but you have to communicate, and communication takes work, and you have to make a commitment and really focus on the importance of that communication. So it's the easiest thing and the hardest thing at the same time.
It is.
It really is.
Let's talk about Mama Bonnie.
Ooh, okay. Yes. Yeah, my mom, her name is Bonnie, and she is the fiercest, hardworking woman I have ever met. She is definitely, a boss. I used to like to say she was like a boss bitch. Like, she is just this person that has made me very strong. I'm a very strong-willed woman. I'm willing to work hard for what I want. And I definitely got that from my mother.
Where is she from?
She grew up in Phoenix, New York, and she came from a kind of a harsh background. And she would tell you this, so I'm not like spilling her juice, but she had a really bumpy relationship with her mother. She grew up with five siblings. And they owned a dairy farm. So it was not like the easiest upbringing, but what made it really difficult is her mom didn't really like her. It was very clear from an early age that my grandmother did not like my mother.
Oh, wow. And she liked her other children?
Yeah, she liked her other children. So my mom always felt this, like she couldn't get her own mother to love her. And I always like to say my grandmother was like Satan. She was scary. She was like very cold, very just not an open woman. And I think that's where I get some of my coldness from, where if you like come at me, I can definitely put on that like cold mask, but it's just protection underneath that. I'm so sensitive and like don't want to be hurt.
Did she go to school?
Yeah, she went to school. I don't think she finished college, but she's just been that woman. Like, she was a travel agency, then she owned the travel agency, then she became a regional saleswoman for food companies in the South. I grew up in Atlanta, and that's where I was raised. And, she was just always going up the ladder at her job, her corporate job, and she just kept getting raises and becoming like the best regional saleswoman in the Southeast for different food companies she worked for. So she's just always been a great businesswoman and went like 100% into her job.
How did she coordinate that with children? Did you have siblings?
I do. I have an older sister and we're really close. She's 2 years older than me. And the thing is, my dad turned into Mr. Mom and they switched gender roles. Yeah. So it was definitely in the 90s, and that was not normal. So dad would be home and mom would be working.
It's amazing that she had that support from him.
Yeah, I think he made a decision when he came back he was in Vietnam. And after he came back, it definitely affected him mentally. So he didn't really want to go join the workforce again. So it kind of worked out that's how their relationship worked out.
Is she still working or is she retired now?
She is officially retired. She's been retired for I think 5 years, and she's loving it. I didn't think she would be great at retirement, but she is at the lake house, playing golf every day. Like, she's living her best life right now. Bonnie is living her best life.
Yay for Bonnie. It's so beautiful to learn from so many women how we don't have to be scared of the age. My mom was always telling me this is the best time I've ever had when she was in her 60s.
Yeah.
She was like, I feel the happiest and most content and relaxed. And it is beautiful to hear women spread that.
Yeah, no, she's living her best life. She got remarried. She's in a really happy relationship. She got remarried only I think 5 years ago. So she got remarried in her 60s, and they're just loving life right now. And
awesome.
Yeah, God bless them.
Is she happy to be a grandmother?
Oh my God, she's obsessed with her grandchildren, like crazy obsessed. And we haven't been able to see her because of the pandemic. And she lives, I live in LA and she lives in Atlanta my sister lives in Atlanta now. And I have to FaceTime with her every couple of days, and she sends him presents. And I'm like, stop sending him toys. He doesn't need any more stuff. Grandmas.
Let's learn from her. What do you feel like? What do you feel are the most important lessons you've learned from her?
I think it's hard work. I think that's what I learned the most, and not to stop when you get rejection. And I think that's come in really handy with Hollywood, that she taught me, you keep going for what you want. And she made me very unstoppable. And the word I would use that she instilled in me is this fierceness, where you tell me no, I'm going to make it yes, no matter what. It was really beautiful to have a mother like that and be raised in the South. I don't know if you know about, Southern culture. Women are stay at home. They don't have jobs. The man is usually in charge of the household. And for me, I'd see that in other friends of mine. Their families ran that way, and my family was completely different. And I'm really grateful that it was, because I got to, at a very young age, after high school, be like, peace out. I'm going to Hollywood. And I don't know if I would have been able to do that if I didn't have such a strong mom.
Mm-hmm. How did you feel about it?
Oh, she didn't want me to go.
Of course.
She's like, can't you just stay here and work here? I mean, now in Atlanta, I could have, but back when I started, 15 years ago, the film industry was all in LA, and now, it's in Atlanta and Vancouver, and I travel all the time, but yeah, she didn't want me to go. But of course, when I start, working and making money, and she's like, oh, my daughter, I'm so proud. But at first, she didn't want me to go.
It's so interesting to me when you sent me your lessons, and I read that a woman can be a breadwinner for the family.
Yeah.
I thought about all my friends in the industry, in the film industry in Hollywood, and how many of them are breadwinners for the family. Like, the majority of women I know in Hollywood are the main breadwinners. Yeah. And these are these beautiful, talented, hardworking women that 100 years ago would be the women who would, get married rich. And now they are the main earners in the family. And how awesome that is. I think this is something many people don't know about women in Hollywood.
Yeah, I mean, I look around, and any woman willing to take care of her family, but then be a working mom on top of it and be in a relationship. I just think they are the fiercest people around, because it definitely is multitasking. And I think women are really great at multitasking, but I'm very proud of what I've accomplished. But, it took hard work and dedication.
The problem, I think, with us women is we can never, men, when they are breadwinners, they are very able to create boundaries, like be like, yeah, I'm earning and you take care of everything else. And we women, no matter how successful we are or how much we earn, I think we're still inclined to feel responsible for the children and for the household. And that makes it difficult.
Oh, yeah. I mean, my husband is the best partner. He lifts me up. He makes me a better person and he supports me in everything I do. But he's not a great multitasker. So if he's working or, is shooting on set or the kitchen will be a disaster, like just getting one meal together. And as a mom, I still am like making the food and I'm scheduling, my interviews. I'm doing rewrites. I'm talking to my editor. I'm like putting the laundry
changing
away.
diapers.
Yeah, changing
feeding,
diapers.
Doing the laundry.
Fixing up the sofa because the pillows were crazy. All while I'm, trying to do a photo shoot, trying to do this. I'm breastfeeding while doing a photo shoot. I mean, I just think that's a woman's nature is to nurture on top of be a hard worker.
Do we have more lessons you'd like to share from Mama Bonnie?
I think that is the main one. I mean, she always has been supportive of me and shown me that I don't have to rely on a man. So for me, I think that was good and bad because I always want power and control in a relationship, kind of like she had. So I guess I took that into like my romantic relationships. But now after doing the work that I know it needs to be an equal relationship for it to be a healthy relationship. Nobody should have more power than the other person.
Yeah. I have another one you sent me, which is that you can always go after your dreams. I think I'd like to mention that because that's beautiful. And I'm a believer in that one.
Yeah. I mean, watching my mom on the phone, going after what she wanted, being a salesperson, she is like the most brilliant salesperson. She could sell ice to the Eskimo, she just knew how to sell. And I think I got my selling myself, selling my product or whatever I'm doing from her, that I could do anything. Like if I just kept at it and believed in what I was saying and believed in my talent or what I could offer, then to go after my dream. She just really instilled that in me.
And then a tricky question.
Oh, no.
Which is my favorite, one of my favorites. What was she not able to teach you? What is something that you feel is important that you had to learn yourself?
Well, when you asked me that, when you told me that question, I was like, oh, God. But then when I thought about it, it was like, we are not perfect. We are all humans and we are all flawed, Yeah. So I was like, you know what, I'm just going to say it. And a couple of the things she didn't teach me very well was meal planning or going grocery shopping. When I moved out to LA, I would go to the grocery store and not know what to get. I was a lost bird and I would pick sliced meat and some cheese on a tortilla and that's what I would eat. And I just wish someone would have taking me to the store and say, okay, this is what you need to make a meal. This is what you should get. These are the aisles. I just felt like I lacked in that department.
Because she did not do that because your father was doing it, or?
Because my father, they would just go without us. We were very latchkey kids. If you know what that means, it's a term where you come home and no one's there. My sister and I were very independent at a very young age, and we'd come home with the keys around our neck and just fend for ourselves. And it just felt like there was never a healthy snack waiting for us, sliced apples and peanut butter, or a couple of slices of cheese. I mean, I remember putting a saltine cracker and spreading butter all over it. And that was my snack. So that's, but then I have to say for her, when I think back and now being a mom, I was a very picky eater. She could not get me to eat a bunch of stuff. So she might have been frustrated and just was like, she'll fend for herself. So.
But Brianne, you know what? I grew up with a mom who had two careers. She was a very successful and famous movie actress in Yugoslavia at the time, and also an artist, award-winning artist. And I was also a latchkey kid. I also had a key around my neck, and I'd come home to an empty house. And when I was younger, I felt bad about it. I held a grudge against that. I was like, why was my mom never, preparing meals, and there were never, like you say, healthy snacks and blah, blah, blah. But to be honest, the older I am, the more I appreciate the fact that she did have her careers and that she prioritized herself in a way. Now I think it's more valuable to have a mom who was successful and fulfilled and happy with what she was doing than healthy sandwiches at home.
Yeah, I mean, I completely agree. I definitely would rather have it that way than the other way. But I also think there's what could have been a balance.
It's true.
So,
yes.
I mean, that's what I'm trying to do now. As children, we don't understand. But now as an adult, I can look at my mom and she did the best she could. She didn't have a great mom. And it was such a beautiful moment. I just have to tell you this moment after I went through recovery in my program. And we had this moment about 5 years into my recovery. And she said, I'm sorry I wasn't always there for you. I didn't know how to be a mom because I didn't have a good mom. And I just want to say I'm sorry. And any resentment or little teeny thing I was holding on to just evaporated. Sometimes you just need a parent to acknowledge their fault and just take responsibility for it. And it was such a healing moment for us. Nothing else needed to be said. And our relationship has just blossomed. And I really wanted, my son is almost 3 years old, but when I make a mistake, I turn to him and I say, Davis, Mama just made a mistake. I'm really sorry. I will try not to do that again. And he looks at me kind of understanding and he's like, okay, Mom. And it's just and I make him healthy snacks, but I also say, okay, Mom's about to go do an interview. Mom has to go to set. So I'm trying to implement and be the best mom I can be, but I'm sure I'll make mistakes also. I mean, come on, we're all human, like I said.
I feel you. I know totally. I'm also I'm learning it myself when Kai started eating food and I had to plan meals for the whole family for the week, and I never learned how to cook before, so I was learning how to cook from Bon Appetit magazine, and then I was cutting. I have the whole collection of the recipes and planning the meals. It's a whole science, like you say. I wish it was given to me because it took quite a while to learn how to plan. And because it would make my life so much easier. It would be much faster if I knew that and didn't have to discover it myself. But hey, we're doing it. We're all work in progress.
Exactly. We're doing the best we can right now.
We are. And you sent me another thing that I feel is very important.
Yeah, this is the other one that makes me a little more uncomfortable just because it's another subject people don't like to talk about is money. So I definitely feel that I wasn't taught how to build credit as a high schooler or a young child. So when I moved out by myself and wanted to lease a car or anything, when I went to go lease a car, they said I had horrible credit. And I'm like, what are you talking about? And they were like, your credit's terrible. And I'm like, but I don't owe anybody any money. Like, I don't understand. And they said, yeah, that's the problem. You don't owe anybody money, so you have not built any credit. And I was like, wait a second, I have to borrow money to get my credit up. And no one explained that to me. I wish somebody would have sat me down as my mom, like, okay, we're going to open a credit card for you with this low balance, and you have to only spend this amount of money, and you pay it off immediately because that builds your credit, because you need credit to then get an apartment or lease a car or buy a car. And I just feel like if your parents can't teach you that, then I wish that would have happened, but maybe they should teach that in school, but nobody teaches you that.
And now we have to mention for the international listeners that this is a very American
Oh,
situation
yes, I'm
where
sorry. Yes.
no, it's okay. But this is what happened to me when I moved to this country. And my husband is like, we need to get a credit card for you. And I'm like, but I have my Austrian credit card. He's like, no. You need an American credit to build credit. It took me quite a while to understand what it means. And he's just as you say it, you just need to buy something and pay it off every month after month. And then your credit score will be high. And then once when you need something, lease an apartment together as a couple. They checked my credit score as well. These things, if you're a foreigner or if you're a child and nobody ever told you, you don't know.
No. And the funny thing is when I went to do it and my husband and I went to go buy a car and they were like, your credits. And I'm like, what are you talking about? I have so much money in the bank. Like, what are you talking?
Yes,
I was starting yelling at the car salesman because this is like, you're already there for a really long time and you're annoyed and hungry by that time. And I was arguing with him back and forth. I said, I don't owe any, which to me is insanity. You shouldn't have to.
It's insanity.
It's silly. Like you have to borrow money to get better credit. It makes no sense to me, but I just wish someone would have sat me down and explained, this is how you build your credit. This is how to do that, because it was never explained.
But it's very interesting. I've done 50 interviews or more, almost 60 at this stage. And this comes back very, very often as an answer. And obviously, we as young mothers will have to learn that we have to talk to our children about finances and we have to teach them, because so many women said, my mom never taught me about finances, how to, balance my checks, how to get credit, how to... it's interesting that we should be aware.
Yeah,
of
like put certain amount of money out of your paycheck so you can have retirement. Like none of that stuff is taught. And that's what I'm doing also with my almost 3-year-old son is he does chores. He earns money. I'm trying to teach him already the value of $1. He broke his toy the other day and he's like, let's get another one, and I'm like, no, if you break your toy, you don't automatically get another toy. Like, if you break it, you either buy it. I'm not going to buy it. You break it, you buy it, or we throw it away. Like, I'm trying to teach him the value of $1, and I'm going to teach him how to have a bank account when he can and all that. So I really think it's important.
It is. Is there anything else you'd like to share?
Well, I just loved having a conversation with you. I love that you're doing this and talking about, because mothers and daughters can have such a complex relationship. So I was really happy to come and deep dive into my mom and I and what she provided and not provided for me. So thank you for having me.
I'm so happy you said yes when I asked you. And yeah, I love this because, I have many guests who had very difficult relationships with their moms. And I'm still surprised when a woman says, it was a tough relationship. I want to talk about it. So the point is not to glorify our moms, but really to talk about what we learn from them and how and why. And the more and more interesting aspect is exactly that. What did they not teach us so that we can do it better?
Yeah. And I write about her in my book. I mean, the mom character is based on her. It's not all true, but there's a great scene in there about, there's a little confrontation. I don't want to talk about it, but it's really interesting and it has to do with some trauma in the past. Please, if you are interested in sex and love addiction or reading about Hollywood, please check out my book. It's called Secret Life of a Hollywood Sex and Love Addict. And I'm just really grateful to be on and be a part of your show.
Yes, we'll put all the links in episode notes. And before we end, I'd like to just quickly recap and share again the lessons we learned from you and from Mama Bonnie, which is that we can be strong women with a high-paying job, that we can and should go after our dreams, that it's totally okay for a woman to be the breadwinner of the family. I wrote down hard work, and I wrote down a quote, when you get a no, turn it into a yes, which I love. And then something you wish she did teach you was how to grocery shop and meal plan, which sounds very simple and obvious, but it's not.
No, it's not.
Let's teach our children these things. And also about finances and building credit.
Yeah.
Financial literacy.
Exactly.
Did I get all of them?
Yes, you did. That was perfect.
Great. Thank you, Brianne, so much for being my guest.
Thank you.
If you enjoy Thank You Mama and want to help it grow, please take the 2 seconds to leave a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts. It really helps. If you'd like to get in touch, you can send me a mail at info@thankyoumama.net. You can also find me on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter under Anna Teider, that's Tajder. This was Thank You Mama. Come back next week, subscribe, and tell your friends.